Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's episode of Dion's Daily Dose presents Face to Face with Dion and Shawn. I am Dion.
And I'm Shawn.
We have an interesting one today. A little bit of history for us, as many of you may or may not, hell, with the state of American schools, may or may not know. On the day, well, first of all, there was an assassination attempt against sitting President Ronald Reagan. You remember the year?
1981.
1981, this happened. So I was like 6.
I didn't exist yet.
Yeah. So this particular story, while yes, it involves the attempt, is more about the government and how rudderless it was, which I find very interesting. You know, one of the things we're taught in kind of the hierarchy of power and the three branches of government is if the president is incapacitated, the vice president immediately steps up. That's the whole point. But things are a little more complicated than that, as we're going to find out. So here's the article. It's from Daily Mail. And the headline of the article is Untold Story of the Day Ronald Reagan Was Shot. Unearthed tapes reveal White House chaos as president lay unconscious, Soviet nuclear subs near D.C., and there was no one in control. Now, the headline alone is like, what?
Yeah. What a day.
What a day. So here are the I guess, bullet points. Was the assassination attempt a Soviet plot to distract from an impending attack? Where was the nuclear football? And where was Vice President Bush? You know, I'm just going to say this. He seems to be involved in a lot of very interesting things.
Yeah.
I mean, he just happened to be in Dallas when JFK was assassinated. I'm not saying he did anything, but he just happened to be there. Quote, and where was Vice President Bush?
Mm-hmm.
The deputy press secretary was asked, who is running the government? Quote, I cannot answer the question at this time, he replied.
Can you imagine that today
right?
that would happen?
Yeah. You know, what would be refreshing is if KJP actually came out and said that, because
that is true.
Yeah, we know it.
Yeah, after I said that, I go, maybe
you know what?
We don't know who's running.
Yeah, because we know Joe Biden ain't running anything. Running to the bathroom, maybe.
Or eating ice cream.
Yeah, running to get some more ice cream. The following is an edited excerpt from The Situation Room, The Inside Story of Presidents in Crisis by George Stephanopoulos with Lisa Dickey.
And he's a Clinton guy, so that's interesting.
Right. Quote, this is from the article. At 2:27 p.m. on March 30th, 1981, President Ronald Reagan walked out of the Washington Hilton Hotel into a slate-gray D.C. afternoon. Suddenly, shots rang out. Bodies fell, Secret Service agents whipped out their weapons, and Reagan was heaved into the presidential limousine. None of the 6 bullets fired by assailant John W. Hinckley Jr. initially hit Reagan, but one ricocheted off the limo, striking him in the left side of the chest. Get out of here. Go, 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 Secret Service agent Jerry Parr shouted. The car sped away, heaving behind pandemonium. 3 men lay on the ground, bleeding profusely, while a scrum of others piled on top of Hinckley. There's a word that doesn't get used often enough. Scrum.
Yeah, you don't hear that.
You don't hear that one very often. Realizing that the president had been hit, Parr directed the limo to rush to the George Washington University Hospital emergency room. Got various pictures here of first one is Reagan with his hand up and first walking out. I've seen this picture a lot. And then of course the iconic chaos picture where there are multiple people on the ground, a throng of people, the limo pulling away from the curb. Bodies fell, Secret Service agents whipped out their weapons, and Reagan was heaved into the presidential limousine.
And I believe one person did die. And one I know was paralyzed for this.
There was definitely some people injured. I think there was at least one fatality.
Yeah.
We'll find out. 4 minutes after Hinckley pulled the trigger, Reagan walked into the ER under his own power, and then he collapsed. Had the bullet hit his vital organs? Would the president need surgery or be otherwise incapacitated? Was he dying? Where was Vice President Bush?
That's crazy.
Instantly, an ordinary Monday turned into a day of confusion and panic, not just at the scene of the shooting, but in the White House too, and more specifically and unusually in the Situation Room, a windowless space in the White House basement that serves as the nerve center of the U.S. government. It's called all kinds of things: the command center, the Situation Room, the bunker, all kinds of things. We know this because National Security Advisor Richard Allen, who convened the president's top aides in the Situation Room, did something no one had ever done before. He brought in a small tape recorder and placed it on the conference table. He did this in full view of everyone, and no one objected. As a result, we have recordings and transcripts of some of the most dramatic and chaotic hours in the history of the sit room, including a previously unpublished record of the moment Vice President George H.W. Bush arrived to assert his control. The recording starts at 3:24 in the afternoon, less than an hour after the shooting. National Security Advisor Richard Allen. Oh, shit. It looks like they got him, Jim Brady. Right smack in his head. Is it? Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus, God in heaven. Press Secretary James Brady had taken a bullet to the forehead. With Brady grievously wounded, the men in the sit room debated who should be the lead communicator at the White House. Secretary of State Alexander Haig very quickly assumed a posture of control. Haig will be on a straight, it means phone, line with the hospital. So anything that is said before it's said, we'll discuss at this table. And any telephone calls that anybody is getting with instructions from the hospital come to this table first, right here. There was immediate concern about who was in control of the football, the black briefcase containing the codes for launching nuclear strikes. The football always travels with the president, though backups exist. But where were those? And with Reagan in the hospital, who was in charge of the nuclear codes? Wow. Haig, unsurprisingly, wanted them within reach. Haig, Cap, referring to Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger, is the football is near the vice president, so that's fine. Allen, we should get one over here. We'll have a duplicate one here. Haig, get the football over here. The longer the crisis went on, the less certain people were about what was happening. Haig, the president, as long as he is conscious and can function. Allen, well, just let me point out to you that the president is not now conscious. The president was at that moment in surgery under general anesthesia. Various pictures of Reagan at various functions. With Vice President Bush still in flight to Washington from Dallas, discussions intensified about who was in charge. Staff Director David Gergen. Al, a quick question. We need some sense, a better sense of where the president is. Is he under sedation now? Hey, He's not on the operating table. Gergen, he is on the operating table. Hey, so the helm is right here, and that means right in this chair for now, constitutionally, till the vice president gets here. Gergen, I understand that. I understand that. Gergen didn't understand it, of course. He knew that constitutionally, the helm was nowhere near Alexander Haig, since the order of succession is the vice president, then the Speaker of the House, then the president pro tem of the Senate.
And then I think Secretary of State.
Yep. But no one wanted to wrangle with the pugnacious Haig, who was already puffing up like a rooster. Let him say what he wanted. Everyone knew the order, and it wasn't worth fighting over. Until Haig impulsively decided to go public with it. Deputy Press Secretary Larry Speakes, who had returned to the White House from George Washington Hospital, was briefing the press corps when a reporter asked who was running the government. Quote, "I cannot answer the question at this time," Speakes replied. Hearing this, Haig went ballistic, pulling Richard Allen out of the conference room into another part of the complex. Allen grabbed the tape recorder and brought it with him. Probably a smart move. "Hey, he's turning this into a goddamn disaster." Allen, "Oh, Jesus Christ almighty, why is he doing that?" Unidentified, "They want to know who's running the government." "Hey, we'll assemble them." Haig charged into the press room and up to the podium and uttered these now infamous words. "Hey, constitutionally, gentlemen, you have the president, the vice president, and the secretary of state in that order. And should the president decide he wants to transfer the helm to the vice president, he will do so. As of now, I am in control here in the White House, pending the return of the vice president and in close touch with him." I was astounded, Allen would later recall, that he would say something so eminently stupid.
Yeah.
Haig had been in the Nixon White House when the president was incapacitated by alcohol. He'd taken charge in that moment, and he clearly believed he should be in control now. But he was far out of line in this instance, and his bumbling attempt to take charge only added to the stress and confusion roiling in the Situation Room. While Haig was still at the podium, Secretary of Defense Weinberger received an intelligence update. 4 Soviet submarines were patrolling the waters off the East Coast, more than the usual number and at a closer distance. In fact, one of the subs was close enough that if it launched a missile, it could destroy Washington in less than 11 minutes.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah, we still had the Cold War going on at this time.
Was the assassination attempt part of a Soviet plot to distract from an impending attack? The identity of the assailant was known, but no one knew anything about him or why he had shot the president. As had happened when Kennedy was assassinated, fears grew that the Kremlin might have had a hand in the shooting. Richard Allen continued taping into the night, ultimately capturing 5 hours worth of Situation Room conversations transcribed into 4 documents. No one has ever written about what was said in some of them, perhaps, because every speaker is labeled simply as voice. That is, until now. When Vice President George Bush at last entered the Situation Room, the group quickly brought him up to date on events, in particular the position of the Soviet submarines. Voice. "We left everything on DEFCON 5, which is the normal non-alert condition. PAC is always on DEFCON 4. There was one Soviet submarine within, redacted, minutes, 57 seconds of missile length of Washington." Vice President Bush's response, made clear in the transcript by how he was addressed, provided the first moments of calm in what had been a long, chaotic day. Picture in the book. He urged everyone to leave the Situation Room to restore a semblance of normalcy. Bush: "I'd like to see us, when we finish this round, not meet in this room. I mean, go upstairs, unless we're waiting for something extraordinarily sensitive, because it gives the signal that we're all sitting around on the edge of something, which of course we could understand everybody doing up to a couple of hours ago. It seems to me that as soon as we get into the most normal condition possible and everybody do his job, the better it is. More than 4 decades after these recordings were made, many of those who were in the room are dead, and the memories of those still living have faded. I had hoped to listen to the tapes myself to try to identify the speakers, but they remain classified. So even though we have this unprecedented record of one of the most significant days in the Situation Room's history, it remains incomplete. This is from The Situation Room, The Inside Story of Presidents in Crisis by George Stephanopoulos with Lisa Dickey, published May 14th, 2024. That is both enlightening
And frightening.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I find this extremely concerning because obviously you would expect that something should be in place just in case. I mean, it would be one thing if Reagan was the first president to ever become incapacitated for any reason. Like, what if he had a stroke? What if, I mean, hell, Biden can have a stroke at any moment. What if? These are like, I'm shocked and surprised that there wasn't a more direct
Continuous plan.
Yeah, contingency plan. Exactly. Yeah. For if something happened, and yeah, the vice president is in charge, but obviously it's not that simple because the vice president was en route from Dallas. So yeah, this is, and you know what? It peels yet another layer of our government and shows these people have no freaking clue what they're doing. No clue. These so-called people, these so-called politicians that run on, all my experience and this and that. The guy who took charge unconstitutionally, I might add, was a veteran of a previous White House, for Christ's sake. These people are unbelievable. They don't care about the Constitution of this country in general. Do they exist? Are there good politicians? Sure. But interestingly enough, the ones that tend to be good get attacked the most often. I'm thinking directly of Thomas Massie.
Oh, yeah, he gets attacked. And, of course, Donald Trump.
Of course. I mean, anyone who tries to expose what's really going on becomes the target of so much. It is insane the level that they will go to. And it just goes to show that just because someone, maybe serves some time in the White House, that just because someone has been a part of government doesn't mean they know what the hell they're doing. And it's never been so evident as when we read this report. I mean, it's mystifying how bad they screwed this up.
It's going to be interesting when Biden's no longer president, the books that are going to come out on him.
Holy cow. I know.
Hopefully it's coming soon.
Yeah. Hopefully
in January.
Hopefully in January we can, get back to some mean tweets and $1.50 gas
and affordable groceries.
Yeah. Affordable groceries, affordable housing. There's lots of things I could go on and on and on about, obviously. But look, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very eye-opening peek behind the curtain as to how our government really works in times of crisis. And it goes to show you these people, they do not know what they're doing. They really don't. They make it up as they go along. They are human. They make mistakes. And all of us, we the people, just like this flag behind me, are supposed to be in charge. We the people. And it goes to show why many of us need to get involved and need to run for office so that we can return the power to we the people. instead of the special interests, instead of the various organizations and entities that want to turn this country into something it was never intended to be. I think that's a good summary.
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you. God bless Indiana. And God bless the United States of America. Even the idiots who were in charge when Reagan got shot. God bless them too. I hope you have a great evening.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Shawn Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2024. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.